Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan and welcome to the latest edition of our sports show. Tonight we have a special premiere in terms of interviews, and our second half of the show this evening, a special one-to-one feature with Ebanie Bridges. We might know her worldwide. She's nicknamed the Blonde Bomber in terms of her boxing career. She's the current IBF bantamweight title. So we have Deontay Wilder, who's the Bronze Bomber. We have we spoke to in the past on the show. We're now delighted to be speaking to the female equivalent, the Blonde Bomber, the one in Ebanie Bridges. Ebanie's career, she started off in Australia. She is a two-time Golden Gloves champion. She has got a master record of 9 fights. She has won wins by KO 3, total wins 8, and her only loss coming to Shannon Courtney so far for the WBA female bantamweight. And no doubt a rematch is around the corner in the very near future on that one as well. Ebanie, just starting off, growing up in Australia, I do see in terms of your background that you were very much a mixed martial artist from a young age. You trained in kickboxing, Muay Thai, completed for 8 years, won various regional and state titles. So did you come from a family background that was deep into martial arts, or was it just a case of you were the youngest of 3 children, you were twins as well, so was it a case of just finding something at a young age to let that bit of frustration out, and you were thinking to yourself, karate, the martial arts, that's where I want to go?
No, well, I think my parents put me and my brothers into karate when we were 5. Well, I was 5, my older brother was 7, but and they just put us in that. I suppose, you know, usually what you put your kids into martial arts is for discipline, right? And I just loved it. And my brothers quit after like 6 months or a year, but I stuck at it and I got my black belt. And then that was when I was 13, and then when I got to high school, I loved karate and stuff, but I wanted something. I was a bit more aggressive. I wanted to be a bit more aggressive. So that's when I started doing the kickboxing and the Muay Thai in my teens. I never competed in kickboxing and Muay Thai in teens, but I trained it all through my teens because it wasn't legal for women to fight in combat sports in Australia in pretty much all states except until 2008. So it was more just training. I competed in karate, but that's because karate is semi-contact. But yeah, there was no full contact for women until 2008 in Australia. So yeah, just a lot of training, and yeah, I loved fighting. Starting at a young age, you know, I was into all like the fighting movies and shows. I loved all Steven Seagal, Van Damme, you know, Bruce Lee, all the karate kids and that. I loved all that. So I just yeah, I grew up around kind of combat sports, but it wasn't got nothing to do with my parents and them being into sport or anything like that. It was just, I think they put you in there as a kid for discipline because we're not bad kids, but, you know, we needed some discipline. And then, yeah, went from there.
Ebanie, so I get the picture that you were very much a tomboy growing up. You weren't very much that girly girl in terms of makeup and in front of the mirror and all. So do you like to get into sort of to take in the action? I imagine you were very much involved in all sorts of sports as well, getting your hands dirty, playing rugby, all that sort of stuff like that, I imagine. Did you get a real sense for that contact sport straight away? Was that really the hits, the contact?
Yeah, I actually played football from a young age. I played football, and I played football at a representative level in my teens, which is like selective. I don't know what they do here, but in Australia it's called representatives, where you get selected for teams outside of just your weekend sport. But I was never into rugby or anything like that. My parents, that was really, really rare for women back when I was, you know, we're talking 20, 30 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm 36, so we're talking like a long time ago. Rugby was very rare. It's
not a long time, Ebanie. You're only just a year younger than myself. So
yeah, well,
we don't be the hoax on us just yet. We're not 6 feet under.
Well, it's a long way. It's a long time ago when it comes to women in sport and women equality in sport, because realistically women in sport has only really taken off in the last 5 years, and that's across all sports. I mean, boxing's obviously the last couple of years, but really even if you look at the rugby sevens, football, like that's only just starting to kind of get momentum now. So yeah, 30 years ago is a long time ago for women in sport. So definitely rugby was not something that little girls would ever think to do. I was definitely a tomboy. I used to wear all my brother's clothes. I wanted like an undercut, like I was a really big tomboy, and then yeah, I mean, I just kind of whatever got out of my cocoon when I got a little bit older, and transformed into a butterfly, I suppose. But I'm still definitely a tomboy at heart. I'm still very much a boys girl, one of the boys, and I'll always be like that with my banter, with everything. So,
and I get the maybe it's just my own sort of perception looking on Ebony. I imagine that you were very much into maybe the boxing, but apparently were you a big wrestling fan? I just get the idea that maybe no. I just got the perception that you might have grew up with the era of the Trish Stratus, the Melanies, the Mickey James, and all that sort of style and that sort of thing, and that brought that across to your boxing career.
No.
So no, you were never
no,
a
I
fan
don't
of
know.
that.
No, I don't really know any of the wrestlers. I mean, I know Hulk Hogan he was a wrestler, wasn't he? And
Yeah.
That's all I really remember. Brock Lesnar and stuff. But no. I mean, I suppose the showman stuff comes from my bodybuilding. I did 10 years of bodybuilding and being on the stage and flexing in a bikini, in a sparkly glycery bikini G-string for 10 years, showing off my body and having that stage presence where you got to go out, stand on stage and pose and be feminine and show elegance, and as well as muscle, obviously. So I think that's where that kind of, and obviously I did card girling because women couldn't fight. And I wanted to be at the boxing. I started doing the card girling, the ring girl stuff. So I was a ring girl all through my 20s while I was doing the bodybuilding as well. And it's another thing, just, showing up, like being on stage, showing off the body, showing, entertaining. I've always been about entertainment. So yeah, I think that's where that comes from, but it's not from wrestling. I wouldn't do wrestling. I'd be too scared to break anything when I wrestle.
Yeah, it's just interesting because you look at Ronda Rousey with the UFC and sort of thing, and she's gone into that sort of world. And I was just sort of wondering, had you a sort of ambitions of venturing into that sort of world? But it's not clearly your cup of tea. Ebony, in terms of, you mentioned there about the stage presence, before the fight, the promotion, the middle, after. Do you sort of look on people like Muhammad Ali, how he was a big sort of sport promotion type of guy, how he sort of sold everything for him before fights?
Yeah.
And you feel that you want to sort of create that sort of audience, a good audience to follow you, but you want to feel that maybe the pre-promotion, do you see that there's three elements of a fight, maybe the promotion, the fight itself, and in the aftermath of the fight? It's that way you look at it, and there's different Ebanie Bridges for each part of it.
Yeah, well, look, I'm a boxing fan first and foremost. I've been a boxing fan since I was younger. And when I was into, being into boxing at younger, you're into the stories, you're into the characters, you're into, you love the people for the way they bring attention to themselves, like you love Roy Jones or James Toney for these trash talks, you know what I mean? Or like Tyson for his aggression, or you look at obviously, then you got people like De La Hoya and stuff like that obviously are they use their looks as well as a good looking man, but it's always about the stories and it's about the characters in boxing. Prince Naseem, you know what I mean? Like people want to watch characters. It's boring, it's an entertainment sport. And just being a fan myself, being a boxing fan myself from a young age, I didn't just go, okay, I'm just going to start boxing at 30, and know nothing about boxing. I've been a fan since I was a kid. So I've grown up with watching boxing and the characters. And I just thought, well, I'm not going to hide myself. I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not, just so I kind of fit in this little box of women's boxing, which is was very conservative up until a couple of years ago, very conservative, you have your Katie Taylor from Ireland, you know what I mean? Look at her, pioneer of the sport, do you know what I mean? Incredible, but it's still that conservativeness, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go be me and just go out there and just have the banter and show what I've got, what I work for, and do the entertainment, because I think it's, and I really wanted people to watch me fight, and I knew that women's boxing wasn't that big, and the only way, and this is just me having not common sense, or it's not really common sense, but I mean, marketing 101, you need people, if you've got a business, you need to advertise so people will know about your business. If you got a business, if you've got I don't even know, a cleaning business, and no one knows about you, you need to be known, otherwise how are you going to get work, right? So I was just in Australia and I'm thinking, well, I need to be known, need to be seen. Otherwise, I'm never going to get these opportunities because no one knows about me. So I just thought, okay, well, I'm just going to put myself out there, and just go for it and get known. And I mean, I had it all anyways because I was a bodybuilding, like it was all just really natural for me and I just didn't hold it back at all. And when everyone was like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that, and you should be more like Katie Taylor. And I'm like, well, I'm Ebanie Bridges. Like, so I'm going to be me and do what I want to do. And, people are going to like it or they don't. And I didn't really care, and I wanted people to tune in. And boxing is 90% men. I mean, fans. Now there's more women fans recently, but it's majority men. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, well, I've got it. So, I mean, I just got to think smart and go, well, why would I hide my femininity when most of the fans are men? And if I can get them in somehow, whatever way it be, get them in to watch, then they can see me fight. Once they see me fight, they're going to be like, holy shit, like this girl can fight, because I knew I could fight. You know what I mean? So I had no doubt in my boxing skills, my heart and my style is very fan friendly, but I just needed to get them to watch. The only way to get non-female boxing fans to watch is to do something different, because it was very niche, like the female boxing fans were always going to watch it because they're fans of women's boxing. But to get more fans, you need to do something different, because what you're doing isn't what you've already been doing and always been doing. Is not getting any more fans. So I was just like, I just went out there and just was a bit different. And, obviously that was with my thing. And then you've got obviously Eddie Hearn, and 2020 was a huge year for women's boxing, because they were showcasing us a lot more.
Yep.
So the world got to see a lot more women's boxing, and that was partly because we're cheap. And when there's no crowds and there's no gates, ticket sales, I mean, you're going to put on women's fights because they're cheaper to host than a men's fight. But it worked, because then everyone realized that women's boxing is amazing, and it's just as good as the men, if not at the moment, currently better, because we're actually fighting each other and we have good fights. So, I mean, it's just how it's been. It's just been amazing. And I'm so excited for women's boxing, for my career and everything in the future.
And Ebanie, you touched on a really good point there. And I know I don't want to go too back on the wrestling cliche, but back in the 90s, like the Tori Wilson, the Trish Stratus, they sold their sport in terms of that sexiness, that sort of sex appeal, in terms of the way they dressed and the laundry matches. And then they obviously, and to a male sort of driven sort of audience as well. But then they realized how good these girls could sort of wrestle. And they're looked as pioneers of the sport.
Exactly.
Because of them, the female wrestlers wrestling in, where they say, do you almost feel that yourself, that you're setting a pioneer sort of an example that will open the gates for further girls and increase that sort of audience, that someone has to go out there and sort of break stereotypes and break the molds in terms of that. And obviously it'll lead to development down the line in terms of that, because it always has to start somewhere. And you mentioned that male audience, and that's what 90, even males and myself, 90% of males, we all watch our TV, good looking women. That's what we're sort of drawn to. Exactly.
So it just made sense. And the reality is it's not only stereotypes for men, like the men and whatever, like women's boxing, you have to be like masculine and like butchy, and you can't be feminine, like it's a stereotype that obviously is very strong on women's boxing and women's sport in general. But even women, little girls, like for example, when you're a little girl, you look at the wrestlers and you're like Trish, and you're like, wow, she's so pretty. I want to be like her. Like, she's so pretty, because that's just natural as a little girl. You want to look up at pretty girls that, like, and you want to be like them. Like, and that's kind of natural. Or you got other girls, say there's other women that are very feminine, they might like boxing, but think, no, that's a boys' sport. Like, it's too masculine. Like, I can't get into it, even though I'd really like to do it. But, it's not for me because it's too masculine. But it's not. Like, I'm showing that you can be feminine, you can fight, and it's fine. And there's a lot of girls now you see, like, I mean, just in sport in general, but even, I'd like to definitely say I'm a pioneer. Like, I mean, everyone's starting to do it as well. You know what I mean? Put more effort into being, not hiding their femininity. I have one of my friends, Stevie Levy, she was like, Ebanie, before you, I would never have worn red lipstick to the weigh-ins or like makeup or anything, because you always get shit. Everyone's like, why are you wearing makeup to training? Or like, why are you wearing makeup? Like, it's, it's boxing. Like why fucking not? Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this. I'm like, why not? Why shouldn't you? Why should you play yourself down or do something that you're not comfortable with just to make, so people don't judge you? You know what I mean? And I took so many bullets and I got judged so much, and I still do. Even now, I still get all the hate and no one else does it. No one else gets, you know, like they're all weighing in lingerie now, but no one else is getting like dismissed or questioned or like it's as if they're not even weighing in lingerie. And I'm like, but I still get it. And I don't mind anyway. Someone's got to take the bullets, but I'm just happy that it's opened up like just another look, you know, and more options, because it's just made it more available. Like, I mean, I get so many women to message me and go, thank you so much. Like, you're so inspiring. It's so nice to see like femininity in the sport. And it's so nice to see that. And it inspires people, and little girls, man. When I do my meet and greets, so many little girls, you know, they all want to be like little blonde bombers. And, you know, people can say that it's bad for the sport, but it's not. All I'm doing is weighing in just like everyone else. Everyone else gets in their underwear. The difference is I got fake boobs, and I wear lingerie. Like, I got a good body, like, and I work out like I'm on the bodybuilding stage. Do you know what I mean? But otherwise, really, I'm not showing any more than anyone else. I'm still wearing underwear. You know what I mean? But some people just seem to think as my underwear equals naked, which is just so bizarre. Do you know what I mean? Like, where have you seen my nipples or my bits downstairs? Like, you haven't, like, just like you don't see anyone else's. But I mean, it is what it is. I cop it on the chin, and I'll keep working it and keep making my career and building my brand on it. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to open up some doors to all kinds of things, you know, from generations.
And Ebanie, one thing about women's boxing, which I really admire, and I've spoken to an awful lot of the male boxers as well. I've spoken to Bud Crawford, spoken to Errol Spence, to name a few. But in terms of women's boxing, there's no ducking. There's no ducking of each other that happens in males boxing. You obviously AJ will he or won't he with Tyson Fury, Spence Crawford will they or won't they? They say it's money time. With women's boxing, if it can be made, it's made. That's sort of thing. There's no sort of hiding. There's no sort of, oh, I'm thinking about my records. I'm thinking about getting the O's, or, oh God, how will I be remembered in 10 years time? You just want the events. You want the highlights. You're not thinking of how you'll be remembered in legacy sort of terms that probably the male equivalents are so egotistical on their records.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not just about the record for us. We want to have good fights, and we're all about entertaining women. We want to just show we can fight. Do you know what I mean? And what's the point of taking easy fights? You're not going to show that we can fight. Like, it's good. Like, that's what it used to be like prior, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, is it was so lopsided because there was only like a handful of good women, and all the others were just like journeymen or just people who just chucked in there. So every single female fight was just a lopsided, embarrassing. Like, no, I shouldn't say that. It was like, you know, like the skill wasn't there, and there was just a few that were really good. So it was very rare to get competitive fights. But now, because there's so much more skill, because the way that it's come through, like even with Katie Taylor doing the Olympics, like that started so many things with grassroots, because now you got all the little girls going, oh, well, boxing's in the Olympics now. So they're starting like when they're really young, but you're not going to do that like when that's not even an option, you know? So it's now the next 10 years, the girls are going to be even better. Like, it's just how it's going to work. And we all want to fight each other because, well, why mess about? Like, you know, one thing that you can say, like my trainer, Mark Tibbs, he always says, you know, like, this girl's like train harder than the men. You need to like teach some of these men, like the boys, you know, because we just get on with it. And he says that women just get on with it. Like, and we do, because I don't know, you know, they always say that like women can be tougher than men. And I think we have a lot to prove as well. And we don't really have the choice to be like, no, I'm not having that fight. I don't want to have that fight. Like, you just take the fights. So, you know, there's good and bad to both women's and men's, you know, and I won't sit here and dissect it all because I can analyze it from each angle. But yeah, I think that, you know, one thing that makes it so exciting is that we're having competitive fights, because we will fight whoever, you know, whoever's put in front of us, we'll just say, yep. And the zero doesn't matter, because in the end, we're putting on good fights, you know.
And Ebanie, I'm not going to, in terms of ask you where obviously you feel, in terms of where you feel in the terms of the pound for pound current female boxers at the moment. But the big question out there in terms of world fans, boxing fans, obviously is Claressa Shields, Katie Taylor, who's number one in the world in terms of pound for pound, because obviously catchment difference means that they can't possibly fight each other. But what's your sort of take in that? And obviously you consider yourself to be in the top 10 in the world at pound for pound, but if you'd ask you who do you think is Claressa or Katie, obviously their records are impeccable, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Irish TV. Am I trying to get lose some fans here? But I honestly think Claressa. I think Claressa's more all-rounder. you know, I just really think that she can do everything, and she's very disciplined in her fights, and she's very, her defense is immaculate. You know, her offense, she can box in all different styles. I just think that she's be very, very hard to beat. I think Katie has some great things. Don't get me wrong, she's done some great things, but personally for me, sorry Irish fans, but I'm not gonna sit here and bend my thoughts. You know, I got to be honest, and I do think that if they were the same weight and it was to happen, I do think that Clarissa would has enough in her toolbox to beat Katie. I think Katie shows some holes in her boxing, especially as we get on. But I mean, yeah, who knows? But I do. That's my personal opinion. I think Clarissa's just incredible.
And Ebanie, I got to bring you on to your big world title fight now, December the 10th in Leeds, the IBF bantamweight title. You're defending it against a fellow countrymate, Shannon O'Connell. 3 years the difference between you. Obviously, Shannon's record, she's 39, she's the older fighter, 30 fights, 27 wins, 6 losses. An awful lot of trash talk in the lead up to the fight, a bit of Australian sort of tension and bitterness. Is it a home sort of fight in an English sort of side? Is it something that you're looking forward to? And there doesn't seem to be much respect between the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really trash talked her at all, really. It's just I'm just being putting her trash talk out. I respect her. She's a pioneer of the sport, especially in Australia. She's been around for a long time. She was one of the very first and one of the only pro boxers in Australia for a very long time, you know, so I do have a lot of respect for her. I just think she needs to have a bit of an get with the times a little bit. You know, she's still talking the same as Shannon Courtney back in 2020, like, get over it, you know, talking about my lingerie and just talking about I have disrespect because of this. And I'm like, mate, like, just like, it's just a broken record to me. So I'm just looking forward to getting in there and just showing her, you know, that just because I wear in lingerie or whatever, it doesn't mean I don't take the sport seriously. I don't know where she gets all that from. I suppose I'd be a little bit bitter too if I'd had a girl and that I've been in the sport for 12 years and, you know, not really thought or known or whatever. And then a girl comes in the sport for like 2 years and she's just broken the world. You know what I mean? So it just depends. Like, I'm just happy. I'm happy to be getting in there. For me, I'm obviously looking on the bigger things. You know, I want to be undisputed. She's in my way. She's my mandatory. I have to fight her. So I just got to get her out of the way. So I can get on to what's next for me. But there's no real big grudge thing for me. It's just I'll be happy to beat her and shut her up or show her, you know, that this Barbie can fight. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing really big for me. Not really emotional for me. Just another job.
And Ebanie, you look in great shape. I imagine training camp is going really well for you at the moment. You're deep in the heart of training camp. Is it really intense on now, or is it going to lessen now in the next week or two as you get sort of closer to the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're coming up 3 weeks out this weekend. So yeah, it's intense for the next couple of weeks and just taper fight week. But it's been a long camp because I was supposed to fight in September. So it's just been it's been quite long. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it done.
And Ebanie, just one last question for you, dear. You fought all over the world. You fought in the UK. You fought in Australia as well. The opportunity ever came out, you came across an Irish fighter in your way. Would you be open to coming across here in Ireland and fighting in the big stage like Croke Park?
I would absolutely love to fight in Ireland. I know I have a lot of Irish fans. I love the Irish. We've got the same kind of banter and humor, and I really do. I really want to get over just to Ireland, even just for a visit. I just love the Irish, the culture and stuff. So I would 100% fight over there. It would be incredible for me. Whether or not against an Irish fighter, it doesn't matter. I'll just fight there. I'd love to.
Ebanie Bridges, we wish you all the best in your defence against Shannon O'Connell. December the 10th, defending the IBF bantamweight title in Leeds. No doubt it's going to be a spectacular event. It's going to be a showcase for women boxing. And Ebanie Bridges, what we say to you is never mind the haters. Keep being a pioneer. Yeah. Keep stating your cause and what has got you there, and obviously if it's all broken, don't fix it. Ebanie Bridges, take care.
Love it. Thank you so much, James. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Ebanie. Talk to you.